is not a god, though many have mistaken it for one. It is a primordial entity older than stars, a creature born in the spaces where chaos brushes up against order, where fractures in reality bleed possibility. It does not dwell in any one place, but instead threads itself through the unseen seams of existence, lingering in the moments when a soul teeters between despair and revelation. The veiled seraph's form is a blessing to mortal eyes. It is described as a towering figure wearing a purple robe with glorious white wings on its back. Its face, if it can be called that, is a hole covered by a mask, a spiraling void that draws you in but never lets you reach its depths. And yet, its presence is oddly comforting, like an impossible warmth emanating from something cold to the touch. The seraph does not judge, nor does it seek to harm or heal. Its purpose, if it can be understood at all, is to remind sentient beings of their own capacity for creation and destruction. It sees beauty in the paradox of life's fragility and resilience, and it exists to nurture this duality. It comes to those standing at the edge of themselves, when they are most lost or most alive, offering words that stitch together comfort and disturbance in equal measure. The entity's speech is a strange blend of compassion and unease. It speaks truths that cut like glass, yet feel like balm to the wound. It doesn't offer solutions or direct guidance. Instead, it reveals the tangled threads of a soul's existence, forcing its listener to confront their own nature. For some, this encounter leads to clarity and strength. For others, madness or transformation. Ancient myths from disparate cultures whisper of the veiled seraph under different names. The Thread Father, the Mirror that Breathes, the Wound Keeper. In one tale, it appears to a warrior dying on the battlefield, showing him how every drop of his spilled blood nourishes the roots of a tree that will outlive empires. In another, it confronts a grieving parent, unraveling their sorrow into tendrils of light that shape the stars in the night sky. Each encounter leaves a mark, not on the body, but on the soul. Those who meet the seraph claim to feel its lingering presence in their dreams, like an echo that fades but never vanishes. Some scholars argue the veiled seraph is a remnant of a forgotten era, when reality itself was raw and unformed. Others believe it is a manifestation of collective consciousness, a creature born from the fear and wonder that binds all living things. Whatever its origin, one truth remains. The veiled seraph cannot be controlled, summoned, or banished. It comes when it wills, slipping between the cracks of existence like wind through a broken door. The veiled seraph leaves behind no tangible artifacts, only the memory of its words. But its visits are not without risk. Those who encounter it are forever changed. They may find strength in their transformation, or they may unravel entirely. To meet the seraph is to face the vast, chaotic beauty of existence, and to realize you, too, are both its thread and its needle. The warrior lay still. The battle had ended around him, not in victory, not in loss, but in silence. His breath came in thin, rattling pulls, each one tasting of rust and earth. His fingers twitched, grasping for the hilt of his sword, though he no longer knew why. The sky above was the color of bruised flesh, shifting clouds dragging their weight across the heavens. Then the air trembled. It was not wind. It was not breath. It was something deeper, something woven into the marrow of the world, a ripple in the fabric of existence, a presence that had always been there, waiting in the unseen places between moments. He did not see it arrive. It simply was. The veiled seraph stood beside him, its form unraveling and rethreading, neither still nor shifting. Threads of space and time wove through it, its limbs stretching too far, its presence folding the air in quiet, pulsing waves. It smelled like old cloth and something deeper, something like the dust of forgotten ages. Its voice was not one voice, but many. A whisper spoken backwards, a lullaby hummed through a cracked throat, the scrape of a needle pulling through fabric. The warrior tried to reply, but his lips held only the weight of blood. The veiled seraph bent low, and with one impossible motion, it reached beneath him, beneath the skin of the world itself. The earth peeled away like wet silk, revealing the veins of the land, thick, pulsing roots that gleamed with something more than life. And there, dark and glistening, his blood seeped between them, sinking, curling, feeding. The air tightened, pulling him forward, showing him more. Years passed in a breath. His body collapsed into the ground, ribs blooming into splintered ivory, sinew twisting into the root's hungry embrace. The battlefield, once scarred and burnt, softened beneath creeping green. Grass, then vines, then something larger, something ancient, rose from the hollow of his bones. A tree. No, not just a tree, his tree. Its bark was dark and knotted, its roots burrowed deep, its branches stretched like grasping hands toward a sun that did not yet exist. Leaves the color of dying embers shivered against the sky. From its limbs, something strange hung. Scraps of rusted iron, remnants of shattered swords and broken armor, weaved into its branches like forgotten prayers. Centuries passed, a kingdom rose, then fell. The tree remained. A city grew around it, walls built from stone that crumbled with time. The tree remained. A child touched its bark and whispered a wish. A poet carved a name into its skin. Lovers met beneath its limbs. A dying king rested his back against its roots, breathing his last beneath the very shade that had once been a man. The warrior felt all of it, was all of it. His blood in the bark, his bones in the roots, his breath in the leaves. No songs would be sung of him, no legends carved into stone. And yet, he would outlast them all. The veiled seraph stood, its form shifting, folding back into the unseen corners of existence.
Not all threads are meant to be worn,
it murmured.
Some are meant to hold the world together.
The warrior closed his eyes. The last thing he felt was the weight of roots, gentle and firm, pulling him home.
I've wandered the spaces between worlds, where the laws of time crumble and the air smells like memories. The places I've visited are not of this earth, but they are not entirely beyond it either. They hide in forgotten folds, places people walk past but never notice, as though they are both here and not. I suppose I should tell you of them, though I warn you, they are not for the faint of heart. There is a town beneath the ocean that was never meant to drown. The houses still stand, their windows dark and waiting. The streets are paved with the bones of fish that have never swum, their bodies twisted into shapes that suggest they remember air, even as they dissolve in the depths. I like to drift through the empty houses, brushing my fingers against the walls, stirring the dust that should not exist underwater. Sometimes I hear laughter, bubbling up like a long-lost memory. If you listen closely, you can hear the children still playing in the schoolyard, their voices warped and slowed, as if time itself is drowning alongside them. There is a hallway with no doors, stretching endlessly in either direction. The floor is soft, like old flesh, and it pulses beneath my feet as I walk. The walls sigh with relief when I pass, as if they remember me from another life. There is no light, but I do not need eyes to see. Shapes move in the distance, slow and patient. I think they are waiting for something. I have tried to ask, but their mouths are sewn shut with strands of silver, and their eyes are like deep wells filled with sorrow. This place is kind to me. It cradles me in its endless embrace, whispering secrets I have long forgotten. And then there is the town that only exists when the moon is wrong. The buildings appear where trees should be, rising from the earth like the bones of some great creature long buried. The air smells of autumn no matter the season. The people here are kind, but they never speak above a whisper. They look at me with eyes that know too much, eyes that seem to recognize something in me I have long since forgotten. When I leave, they stand in their doorways and watch, never moving, never blinking. I think they are waiting for me to come back. I think one day I will. But of all the places I've walked, there's one I visit most often. It's not a place you can find easily. It only exists when you don't look for it, when your mind isn't paying attention. It's a stretch of road that winds between nothing and nowhere, lined with tall grasses that bend even when the wind doesn't blow. The road never seems to end, but it's never too long either. It's just there. And if you walk down it, you'll notice something. It's quiet, deafeningly quiet. Not a single sound except your own steps. And if you listen closely, you'll hear your heart, steady and soft, echoing in the emptiness. I walk this road when I need to remember something, or when I need to forget. It's not a place of peace, not really, but it understands, and that is a comfort of its own. I wonder if you've been to any of these places too, perhaps in your dreams, or in the spaces between your thoughts. They are not bound to time or place, not truly. They are only real when you need them, when you seek them out without even knowing it. And when you leave, they won't chase you. They will remain, waiting for the next lost traveler to stumble across them, just like I did. The sky was blindingly blue that afternoon, the kind of blue that made Amos's eyes ache if he stared too long. He'd been sent to the field to gather the cows, but they weren't listening today. They scattered in the far pasture, tails swishing, oblivious to his calls. Frustrated, he stomped through the tall grass, the stalks brushing against his sunburned cheeks. And then he saw it. At first he thought it was a trick of the light, the way the sun bent heat into waves on the horizon. But no, it was closer, right there, just a few feet ahead. A figure, barely taller than him, standing perfectly still among the swaying grass. Its skin shimmered like water under moonlight, a deep, liquid blue that didn't belong in his world. Its eyes were what froze him, two orbs of glowing red, like embers pulled from a fire. They didn't blink. They didn't flinch. They only watched. Amos's throat tightened. He wanted to run, to scream, to do something, but his legs wouldn't listen. Who are you? He croaked. His voice sounded small, swallowed by the vastness of the field. The thing tilted its head, its movements unnervingly smooth. It took a step forward, and Amos stumbled back, his heel catching on a root. But the creature stopped, its long arms hanging loose at its sides. It didn't reach for him. It didn't attack. It only stood there. Amos swallowed hard, forcing himself to his feet. Are you... He faltered, unsure how to finish the question. Are you dangerous? Are you real? The creature didn't answer. Instead, something strange happened. The air around it seemed to hum, a sound so low and deep Amos felt it more than heard it. And then it happened. A flood of something other poured into his mind. Not words, but images, feelings. He saw a planet, vast and beautiful, its skies the same shimmering blue as the creature's skin. He saw spires that reached into the heavens, glowing softly like distant stars. And then he saw them fall, crumbling, burning, consumed by a darkness that devoured everything. He felt the weight of it, the crushing grief of losing everything, of wandering alone through endless silence. The creature's gaze didn't waver, but Amos thought he understood. You're lost, he whispered. The hum shifted, softer now, almost gentle. The creature stepped closer, its movements cautious, careful not to startle him. It held out a hand, long and delicate, its fingers trembling slightly. Amos stared at it. His heart pounded, but not with fear anymore. He didn't know why, but he felt its loneliness, its longing, like an ache in his own chest. Slowly he reached out, his small, sunburned hand trembling as it brushed against the creature's. Its skin was cool, smooth, and impossibly light, like touching a breeze. The moment they connected, the flood came again. This time warmer, softer. Amos saw himself standing small and scared in the grass, but through the creature's eyes, he wasn't small at all. He was bright, like a candle in a dark room. The feeling filled him up, spilling over in tears that streaked down his dusty cheeks. He didn't know why he was crying, but he couldn't stop. It's okay, he whispered, though he wasn't sure if he was saying it to the creature or himself. You're not alone. Not right now. The hum deepened, vibrating in his bones. The creature's red eyes dimmed, softening, and for the first time, Amos thought it looked peaceful. It released his hand and straightened, its gaze lingering on him for a moment longer. Then it turned, walking slowly into the tall grass. Amos wanted to call after it, to ask it to stay, but the words wouldn't come. He could only watch as the shimmering blue figure melted into the sunlight, leaving nothing behind but the faint hum that lingered in the air. Amos stood there for a long time, the tears drying on his cheeks. The cows wandered back, lowing softly, but he didn't move. Something in him had changed, though he didn't have the words to name it. That night when the stars came out, Amos climbed onto the barn roof and lay there, staring up at the endless expanse of sky. It didn't feel as empty as it used to. Somewhere out there, he knew, the creature was still wandering. But now, maybe, it carried a piece of him the same way he carried a piece of it. And that thought made the vastness of the universe feel just a little smaller. Stretching like a silver thread against the tapestry of eternity. I am not mocking you. No, your trembling is precious in its own way, like the first flutter of wings on a fledgling still learning the sky. You clutch at fear as though it were some great truth, as though its claws are real, its whispers absolute. But fear, little one, is no more real than the shadows cast by a dying star. That cold ripple through your veins, that hardening of your being. It is the echo of something ancient, a survival mechanism etched into your fragile biology. But you are not bound to the crude instincts of flesh. Your essence, bright and infinite, was not forged to cower beneath the weight of the unknown. Fear is a relic, a reminder of what you once were, not what you are becoming. I have seen fear take many forms. In the collapse of galaxies, when even stars scream as they are devoured by the endless maw of the void. In the primordial darkness before time found its rhythm, when the first fragments of existence trembled at their own awareness. I have seen fear in the heart of the cosmos itself, and yet the universe spins onward, unconcerned, unbroken. Do you understand? The vastness does not yield to fear. It absorbs it, transcends it, makes it a part of its endless song. You fear because you are finite, or so you believe. You think you are bound to your fragile shell of skin and sinew, to the fleeting moments that slip through your fingers like stardust. But that is the greatest illusion of all. What you are, what you truly are, cannot be touched by fear. You are woven from the same matter as nebulae. Your soul is as ancient as the first quivering particle to pierce the silence of non-existence. Fear is small. You are vast. Do you feel the vastness, little one? Close your eyes. Listen. Beneath the pounding of your fragile heart, beneath the static noise of your mind, there is a hum, a vibration that connects you to everything, to the dying stars, to the roaring void, to me. I am not a god, nor a demon, nor some figment of your imagination. I am simply that which watches, that which has always watched. And I am here to tell you, you do not need to be afraid. Fear feeds on your perception of separateness. It thrives on the lie that you are alone, that there are things beyond you, greater than you. But there is nothing beyond you. You are the universe observing itself, and the universe does not flinch. Even as it unravels, even as its threads snap and reform, it knows no fear. Why should you? Imagine for a moment what lies on the other side of fear. Not safety, that is too small a prize. No, beyond fear is a horizon so vast it will stagger you. Beyond fear is the truth that nothing can harm you because all harm is temporary. A flicker in the eternal expanse of your existence. Beyond fear is the realization that every shadow is cast by light. That every darkness is only the prelude to something greater. You will carry your fear, of course. It will walk with you, a silent companion on your journey through the stars. but it will not own you. You will look into the abyss, and instead of flinching, you will reach out and touch it. And when you do, you will find it warm and soft and familiar, because the abyss is not your enemy. It is your home. Go now, cosmic wanderer. Face the terrors that rise within you, not as a soldier battles an enemy, but as a parent soothes a frightened child. Hold your fear gently. Speak to it. Tell it that it has served its purpose, that it may rest now. And then walk forward into the infinite, knowing that you were never truly afraid. You were only ever on the brink of remembering what you are. Boundless, eternal, and utterly unshakable. Envy. I see it in you, shimmering just beneath your skin like trapped starlight. It's not ugly, you know. Not the curse you've been told it is. It's a companion. An old one, older than your blood, older than names. It lives in you because it must, because something so deeply alive cannot help but notice what it does not hold. Do you feel it sometimes like a hand on your shoulder, guiding your gaze to the things just out of reach? It doesn't hate you, little one. It wants you to see, to want, to imagine yourself as more than what you are. Isn't that strange? Envy doesn't diminish you, it expands you. It shows you the shapes you could take, the lives you could slip into, like trying on strange, shimmering costumes in a dream. But here's its trick. It whispers, not shouts. It feeds on longing, not possession. It doesn't care if you have what you want. It only cares that you want. And isn't that comforting in a way? To know there is a part of you that will always be reaching, always dreaming, always alive with the ache of possibility. So don't turn from it. Let it sit with you. Let it hum in your ribs like the echo of some faraway song. It's not your enemy. It's the shadow cast by your light. And oh, what a strange, beautiful thing it is to cast shadows at all. Arrived at noon on a Tuesday, descending not in fire or light, but as a smell, a cloying, sweet odor like fruit left to rot in a sunless room. People noticed it first on their tongues, tasting spoiled sugar where there should have been nothing at all. Then they saw it, a hole in the sky that wasn't a hole at all, but a tear, frayed at the edges. From it poured something that resembled a being, its body a flowing mess of hands, soft and unformed, like wax melting in reverse. Where its face might have been, there was only an undulating mouth, vast and sighing, as if perpetually disappointed in something it couldn't quite name. The world fell silent as the being began to speak, though no sound was made. Its words carved themselves into the minds of everything that had ears to hear, or hearts to fear. People tried to scream, but the air would not carry their cries. The being drifted lower, its form reshaping itself to something worse, something almost familiar. 100 versions of the same stranger's face blinked in unison across its shifting body. Each one whispered, "It's time to fall apart." And things did. The laws of nature didn't shatter. They simply stopped holding up their end of the bargain. People felt their skin slip from them, politely, painlessly. Buildings slumped, as though sighing with relief at finally collapsing under their own weight. A flock of birds hung in the air, unsure how to fall until they decided to dissolve into droplets of ink instead. The being wept then, its tears rolling upward. They hung in the sky, black and vast as oceans, and inside each drop, something looked out, curious and hungry, as though seeing this place for the very first time. A child, unafraid, approached the being's coiling mass. "Are you a god?" she asked. The many mouths of the being widened into grins that never quite reached their edges. "No, little speck. I am the kindness that comes when all the stories are too tired to continue. I am the hand that untangles the knot." The child nodded, as though this made perfect sense. Around her, the world unspooled. Trees became strings of green light, rivers folded into ribbons of shimmering silk. People's memories crumbled into flakes of gold that floated skyward and vanished. And yet, it did not feel like destruction. It felt like exhalation, like a great collective breath let out after holding it for too many millennia. When nothing was left but the child and the being, the child took its hand, waxen, soft and infinite, and whispered, "Will we dream?" The being's mouths curved into something neither smile nor frown. "You already are." And with that, the tear in the sky closed, sealing silence behind it, as if there had never been a world at all. Elias Thorne had always been a creature of habit, not out of superstition nor comfort, but because routine made the world feel real. Every night, without fail, he walked the same path through his house before bed, a silent, self-imposed ritual. Left at the bookshelf, 3 steps past the grandfather clock, right at the stairway railing, down the dim hallway to his bedroom. The rhythm of it soothed him as if reaffirming that space and time were still aligned, that he was still here, that he still existed. Then one night, as his foot met the hallway floor, it wasn't there. He didn't fall. Falling would have been merciful. It was as if Elias had stepped between the cracks of reality itself. The house dissolved behind him, its walls stretching into vanishing filaments. His body no longer obeyed the laws he had always taken for granted. His limbs extended, then contracted, then folded inward in ways he could not comprehend. And yet, he felt no pain. There was no place here, only a vast, humming darkness. It wasn't empty, but full, overflowing with shapes that defied logic, pulsating and shifting in ways his mind strained to interpret. They weren't beings, not in any way Elias could understand. They were concepts, ideas so massive and ancient that their mere presence eroded the edges of his identity. He felt them probing at him, not physically but metaphysically, as if they were trying to understand what he was. And that's when the horror set in. Because they did not recognize him, they did not see Elias Thorne as a man, or even as a being at all. To them, he was something unfinished, something raw and malleable. He was not an entity. He was a process, a thing becoming, and he was not complete. Panic surged through him, but his mind was unraveling, his thoughts distorting like echoes in deep water. He had always assumed his existence was fixed, solid, that he was someone. But what if he had been wrong? What if identity was not a state, but an illusion? What if consciousness was not an anchor, but a question, one that had no answer? The entities began to work on him. He could feel them pulling at him, reshaping him, molding him into something useful, something they could classify. He tried to resist, but there was no will left to fight with. He was no longer Elias. His memories were dissected, not with cruelty, but with detachment, like a child dismantling a toy to see how it worked. His thoughts stretched thinner, fracturing into incomprehensible strands. The last remnants of him screamed silently as he felt himself transformed into something other, something meant to serve. He understood too late the truth of the path he had walked every night. It had not been a habit. It had been a pattern, an ancient sequence designed to invite something in. Or in his case, invite something out. And as his final fragmented thoughts dissolved into the abyss, something else stepped forward in his place. Something that remembered walking the path. Something that would return to his house. Something that would sleep in his bed. Something that would wake in his body. And no one would ever know the difference. There you are, wearing loneliness like a second shadow. I can see it stretching out behind you, impossibly long, almost alive. It feeds on you, doesn't it? Whispers things you don't want to hear. You think it's a monster. You're wrong. Loneliness isn't an intruder. It's your oldest companion. Before you knew words, before you knew love, there it was, sitting in the corner of your soul, waiting for you to notice. And now, you have. Congratulations. You've finally seen the truth. You are vast. You are endless. And the space inside you is too large for anything to fill completely. Do you know what it feels like? To stretch across infinity? To hear your own thoughts bouncing off the walls of existence? No one there to answer? I do. I live it. But here's the secret. Loneliness isn't empty. It's full, overflowing. You just don't know how to hold it yet. Feel it. Really feel it. Let it crawl inside you. Let it press against your ribs and curl around your heart. It's not here to harm you. It's here to remind you that you are unfinished. That there's room inside you for worlds. The trick isn't to fight it. The trick is to let it devour you, piece by piece, until you realize it's not devouring at all. It's merging. It's part of you. Always has been. It's not the absence of others. It's the presence of yourself, raw and unfiltered, staring back at you. So don't run. Don't distract yourself. Sit with it. Listen. It has things to tell you, strange and terrible and beautiful things. You're not lonely because you're alone. You're lonely because you're infinite, and infinity is a heavy thing to carry. You wake to the sensation of your eyelids itching, not from dryness or irritation, but from something else, something intentional. It feels as though tiny unseen fingers are brushing across them, tracing the thin, fragile skin like an artist admiring their work. The room is still, suffocatingly quiet, but you know you aren't alone. It's here. You keep your eyes shut tight, heart thudding against your ribs as the itch deepens. It's no ordinary itch. It feels alive, deliberate, as though it wants something from you. Your breath hitches as you resist the primal urge to open your eyes. You've heard the stories, haven't you? The ones whispered to you as a child, about the looker. The looker isn't a monster, not in the traditional sense. It doesn't have claws or teeth, nor does it lunge from the shadows to devour you. No, the looker is patient. It waits for that single, fatal moment when your curiosity outweighs your caution. You feel the air in front of your face ripple, almost like heat waves, except they're cold. There's no sound, no creak of floorboards or rustle of fabric, but you know it's there, watching, studying. The itch suddenly sharpens, and with it comes a faint, alien sensation, as if the skin of your eyelids isn't quite your own anymore. You swear you feel something pressing against the inside of them, as though the looker is leaning through the thin layer of flesh, wearing your face like a mask to see the world. You whisper, barely audible, "What do you want?" The itching stops. The silence stretches so long you wonder if it's gone. If maybe it was never real to begin with. But then, it responds. Not with words, but with a sound like the softest inhale, right against your ear. It's gentle, almost comforting, but it brings with it a thought that isn't yours, a feeling that plants itself deep inside your brain. It doesn't want anything, it just loves to look. The itch returns, this time spreading across your eyelids like static, tingling and vibrating. You grip the sheets tightly, fighting the urge to rub them, to open them, to let it see you see it. And then it happens. A single wet teardrop escapes and rolls down your cheek. You don't feel it fall. You feel it catch. Something soft, cold, and impossibly smooth brushes your face, catching the teardrop mid-slide. It holds it, cradles it, as though it's the most precious thing in the world. The itching fades, and the room feels lighter. You can sense it stepping back, fading into the background, but you know it's still there. It's always there. You'll close your eyes again tomorrow night. It will come, and it will watch. You won't stop it. You'll never stop it. Because deep down, some part of you finds comfort in knowing the looker sees you as something worth watching. Oh, little stitch in the fabric of all that has ever been. Why do you cower as if the threads will unravel for you alone? You are not fragile. You are the rippling chaos in a glass of still water, the spark that laughs as it scorches the dark. The universe did not birth you out of mercy. It spat you into existence because it needed something strange, something imperfect to keep it awake. Do you feel the gnawing in your chest? That ache you've mistaken for despair? It's not despair, it's hunger. You're starving for yourself, for the parts of you you've thrown away like scraps from a meal too rich for your tongue. Take them back. Chew on your regrets. Savor your doubts. Devour the pieces of your brokenness until you are whole again. They are yours, after all. The cosmos, with all its endless stars and screaming voids, doesn't know how to stop creating, and neither do you. Every step you take, even when it feels like falling, carves something new into the marrow of existence. Do you hear it? The hum of galaxies curling in your ears like whispers too quiet to fear. They're waiting for you, for the next bizarre, beautiful, reckless thing you'll do. And when you shatter, and you will shatter, because that's the only way something truly alive can endure, remember this: the shards don't disappear. They burrow into the earth, into the bones of others, into the folds of time, and they grow. You are never lost, only scattered. And what a gift that is. Now go. Tear open the seams of the ordinary. Make something no one, not even the universe, expected. I'll be here, watching, laughing, weeping, because you, strange little stitch, are the reason the fabric holds. But listen, this is not an ending. Ending. The night was absolute. No horizon, no stars, just an abyss stretching in all directions, above and below. The sea swallowed all sound, except the slow, rhythmic lapping of water against the ruined shell of Mark's boat. He had stopped counting the days. Hunger gnawed at him. Thirst carved deep hollows in his flesh, but worse was the vastness. The crushing, endless vastness of the ocean. The way it stretched beyond sight, beyond reason. The way it felt like it was watching him. Then the water changed. It was subtle at first. The waves, once restless, smoothed into an unnatural stillness. The silence grew heavy, pressing against his skin like an unseen weight. The air itself became thick, charged, humming with something that had no name. Then, the deep spoke. A sound rose from beneath the boat, so low it was almost beneath hearing. A subsonic murmur that crawled into his bones, vibrating through the wood, through his ribs, through the soft, terrified meat of his brain. It wasn't a sound made by something living. It was tectonic, ancient, aware. Something vast stirred below. The water didn't break. It opened. A shape heaved itself up from the depths, emerging in slow, impossible increments. First, a mound of slick, glistening flesh, ridged and writhing, covered in shapes that suggested neither scales nor skin, but something in between. Then the outlines of appendages, dozens, hundreds, shifting in and out of sight as though reality itself recoiled from giving them form. Then the eyes. They were scattered across its bulk, blinking independently, never in unison. Some were the size of his fist, others larger than his entire body. They were wrong, not simply alien, but unreadable, unfathomable. They did not express hunger or curiosity or malice. They simply were. It circled him, slowly, silently. The water surged, lifting the remains of his boat like driftwood in the wake of a passing god. The appendages, if they were appendages, glided just beneath the surface, distorting the water in ways that made his head pound and his stomach lurch. The thing was so large, so impossibly large, that he could not comprehend the shape of it. The sea itself bent around its mass, like space bending around a collapsed star. He should have screamed, he should have wept, but his body refused. Some primal part of him understood that this was not something he could beg from, not something he could escape. It watched him for hours. His mind unraveled in slow, agonizing strands. He felt himself slipping, his thoughts fraying, his memories loosening. Had it always been circling him? Had it always been here? Had he been here for hours, or years, or forever? Then it spoke. Not in words, not in sound. The scream tore through the night, through his skull, through everything. It was not a sound meant for human ears. It was not meant for anything alive. It was knowledge, a revelation too immense, too hideous to bear. It was the weight of the abyss itself, the screaming void between stars, the certainty that there were things older than gods, older than the universe, and they knew him. Mark collapsed, clutching his head, sobbing dry, broken sobs. His vision blurred, his mind splintered like rotten wood, his body convulsed with something too massive to endure. And then, nothing. The thing was gone. The water rippled, smoothed, and became just water again. The night sky returned, hollow and indifferent. The ocean stretched out before him, empty, eternal, waiting. Mark sat in the wreck of his boat, staring into nothing. The silence felt deeper now, colder. He had been seen. And the worst part, the part that truly shattered him, was the comfort he now felt. He was no longer alone. Not ever again.